Okay, today we're gonna make some squash soup, which is a really fun fall soup to make, and it's got very little ingredients, which is really easy to make. So you start with a couple of onions. I usually just get a couple of onions, and then I usually go to like Costco or the grocery stores and get some butternut squash that's already cut up. You definitely want to have to not cut it up yourself because it's very hard to cut up. You can use vegetable stock, usually a box of vegetable stock or some chicken stock, some crushed red pepper, some salt. I usually use kosher salt, some fresh ground pepper. This is some nutmeg. This is a whole nutmeg, but you could use just dried nutmeg, some olive oil. Those are the ingredients. Okay, easy. So what are we gonna do first? Well, we're gonna get started by taking some cookie sheets and we're going to take them and cover them with foil, and that's just gonna make for easy cleanup. You're also going to set the temperature on your oven for 400 degrees. If you're lucky enough to have a double oven, go ahead and set both of them. It'll just make it easier to make the roasting of the vegetables faster. I like to roast these vegetables to make them turn nice and sweet, and it'll really enhance the flavor of the squash soup. There they are, going in for the first 20 minutes. Here's the other tray, also going in for 20 minutes. Okay, so here are the vegetables after they've had about 20 minutes in the oven. They're looking actually pretty good. So I think I'm only gonna give them about 15 more minutes in the oven. So I'm just gonna give them a little quick swish with the olive oil, just to give them a little extra moisture and a little flavor. And so I just give them an extra little squirt. Oh, and I'm actually gonna flip them over. So then these pieces get a little chance to work brown on both sides. So take a little spatula and just kind of flip them over, and that'll give you a little extra browning surface. And just kind of, and plus what happens is the oil that's on the cookie sheet kind of, gets on there as well. But I'll just kind of get a little coating on there. Kind of flip everybody over. And then here we're gonna flip all these guys over. And yeah, there you go. So this should be good. Okay, great. All right, and then I'm just gonna add a little more of this oil. And just a tiny bit more of the salt. And that's because you're starting to flavor the soup, by adding the salt to the vegetables. So, hang on. Okay, so there you go. So back they go in the oven for another maybe 15 minutes. Okay, so here they are. Don't they look lovely? So now the trick is you take all these lovely vegetables and you put them into a pot. I will show you. Stay tuned. So I tend to use this Le Creuset Dutch oven. I've used it for a million years. I love it. It's a cast iron pot, but it's it's actually it's got an enamel covered, so that it's not just a black enamel pot. And so I just take all these vegetables and I shove them into this pot. And this will, it's a nice even heat. And I will put them all in here, and then I will show you the next step. But I love this particular kind of pot, and I love it because, I love that it's, you can get them a lot of different colors. They last for a million years. They come, this one has a lid that I'll use on it if I need to, for doing lots of stews and things like that. It's oven safe, stove safe, stovetop safe, refrigerator safe, freezer safe. It's a really good pot. So that's great. So this is all put all this roasted squash in here. And see all this brown, all these little brown bits and pieces are all part of the roasting process. And it's what gives the soup some nice flavor. It takes a little bit of time, but it's really worth it. Okay, so now, this pan's done, and I'll just make a really easy cleanup. I'll just pull off all this foil, and it hardly takes any effort at all to clean it up. So a couple little stragglers, and then I'll run that pan under soapy water, and it'll be done. Okay, and then this next one is the onions. And so I'm gonna grab all the onions and put them in there. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these and I'm gonna put them on the stove, and I'm gonna actually add a box of broth, okay? I usually use either chicken broth or I use vegetable broth, whatever I have in the house. And so I love to do that. And today I have vegetable broth, and I'll just throw that in there. And I'm gonna put that in there, and I'm going to kind of make a solution of the vegetables. Oops, gotta make sure you're not getting pieces of foil in there. Okay, and then you're just gonna get all this in here, great, all right. So this is all ready to go on the stove, okay. And again, you've got another clean pan. Hardly any cleanup, which is great. If you don't take the time to cover the pans with foil, which I've done in the past, the problem is those roasting vegetables can really take some work to have to clean up. Okay, stay tight. Now we're gonna go ahead and go to the stove. So now it's really easy. I'm just gonna take the soup and I'm gonna put it on kind of a medium heat. Then I'm gonna add typically a box of this. This is a 32-ounce box of vegetable broth, and I'm gonna just glug this into here, and then I'm gonna stir it up a little bit. And I don't start to season it just yet. I'm just gonna actually heat this up on the stove for a few minutes, and I'll show you why in a minute. So you stir this up typically with a wooden spoon. With these kind of enamel pots, you kind of want to not use something that's going to scrape the finish. So I usually use wooden spoons. So you're just going to stir that up just a little bit, and not very long, nothing major, just enough to get them all, immersed, all the vegetables immersed. And then you use the magical tool. This tool is the best tool for making soup. This is an immersion blender. Some people make soup by taking the liquid and putting it into a blender and trying to blend it that way. But to me, that's really a bad idea, because it's going to be, you have to transfer the stuff, and things can spill and the blender can blow, and I'm not a fan. So I just like to take this little immersion blender, and once the water, I usually, you could do it right now if you wanted. You could actually blend it, which I think I will. So just plug in this little immersion blender and and it's just a cool thing. It's called an immersion blender because you'll immerse it under the edge of the pan, and actually the blade doesn't go against doesn't actually scrape the bottom of the pan. It just, it'll actually just, kind of cut the vegetables up really quickly, which is really neat. So it's really great. So you'll just put it in there, and we're gonna quickly immerse, and we're gonna blend all these guys up and chop them up without having to take them out of the pan. So watch what I do here. So let me plug this baby in, and I'll show you how this works. It's one of my favorite tools for making soup and sauces. So here we go. And I stop, and I lower it again over the vegetables, so I make sure I'm mostly getting vegetables. It's the best way to not make a big mess. And I do this while it's on the stove. I think it's okay. Can you see how it's starting to come together? What's so neat about this is actually making a soup that looks like a cream soup without having to add any cream. Now, I don't have a problem with adding cream, but a lot of people don't like to add the fat of a cream. So you could add cream, but I just think this is really luxurious, just with the onions and the squash and the olive oil that I use to to brown the vegetables. Okay, so the soup is looking pretty blended. So it looks pretty evenly homogeneous. And then now what I'll do is I'll take this little blender out. I'll set it aside. And I'll actually taste it with a spoon and see what I think of how it is just as it is. Okay, and so when I taste it, it tastes a little raw, which is no surprise. And I'm gonna cook this for about 15 minutes on the stove, just kind of on a medium-low heat. I'm also gonna add some seasoning. So I'm gonna add, and this is what they call seasoning, you season something to taste. So I'm gonna add some pepper into here, some salt and some pepper. And then I'm going to also add some red pepper. I love crushed red pepper. I find so many squash soups are too sweet. So I'm just gonna sprinkle some red pepper in here. And I might need to add more later, so we'll see. So we keep it out. And then a magical ingredient is nutmeg. You can just use, oh, I guess I have to use regular nutmeg. Okay, I was gonna show you nutmeg whole, but I guess my nutmeg whole is running out. Hold on. Nutmeg's a spice you don't want to use too excessively. You want to just, again, it's a taste thing. So you want to I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit over there and just see, and I'm going to stir that in. And actually turn the temperature down to low because I really want a chance for this to all kind of cook in here. And we're just going to grab another spoon. So each time you taste it, you kind of want to grab another spoon so you're not contaminating the soup with your germs. Okay, it's getting better. Okay, it's not all the way there yet though. So I'm thinking it needs some more pepper. And that's the thing, you know, the reason why a lot of soups taste like meh is because people don't take the time to season them enough. And so it's a kind of an art. And so you have to really be brave enough to take the time and let it, you know, kind of, you know, do its thing. And you have to keep tasting it to your palate. So now I'm going to literally turn this down to really low heat. And I'm actually going to put a lid on so that I really don't want this to evaporate much. I just want it to kind of cook. I want it to cook for about 15 minutes, and then we'll reevaluate and see how the seasoning tastes. Okay, stay tuned. Okay, so I just tasted it, and the last taste tastes perfect. I love it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let it cool for a while. It'll probably take about an hour or so to cool. And then what I like to do is I'll show you. I will take these containers that I buy online. I buy these 1 quart containers, I think they're a quart. And I actually take the cooled soup and I store them in here. And what I do is I take them in here, but obviously put a lid on them, and then I actually put a label on them, just like a Post-it note saying the date that I made and the soup that it is. And so then I pop it in the freezer. And so I'll usually put one in the fridge that I'm gonna eat, and the rest I'm gonna, you know, save or I'm gonna give to a friend. So it's a great way to save the soup and remember what you've got, and soup is a great thing to make in a batch. So there we have it, soup made for the day. Well, let me show it to you. I'm going to put some in a bowl. I'm going to have a little bit right now. Okay, here's my soup. I'm just going to have a little bit of it for a little snack here. This is perfect. It's got a little bit of a bite because of the red pepper and the black pepper. It's got just enough salt in it. And just know that when you put a soup in the refrigerator and let it cool overnight, sometimes you'll need to re-season it again with a little more salt and pepper. That's again called salting and seasoning it to taste. That's just what happens is a soup or a stew kind of matures. Usually it tastes better with a couple of days worth of time in the freezer or the fridge. The seasonings and the flavors kind of meld, but I like it right now. So good luck. Make this soup. Oh, lastly, I forgot to tell you that I am Julie Marshall, and I am, this post is actually done by me, Dr. Julie's Fun Life, and I wanted to talk to you about, I do a regular blog, and I'm now on YouTube, and I talk to you about food and fashion and fun, lots of F things. So I'm over 50, of course. and I like to talk to you about things that I like to do every day, just to make my life more fun. I like to share easy, fun things to do to make your life easier too. So I hope this has been something you enjoy, and I hope that, please share this, please follow me. They'll make things better for me and make me have more of a chance to have a good business. So thank you very much. Have a great day. Make this soup, it's yummy.